Hello to everybody that I've met before, and excited to see a bunch of new faces as well. If I could be an animal, I think I would be a giraffe, just because it reminds me of my grandma who passed away. It was her favorite animal. So it just whenever I see a giraffe, it reminds me of her, holds a sentimental place in my heart. I guess I'll popcorn it over to Sarah.
Thanks, Shelby. So hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Hoyos, and I'm the campus recruiter that leads CSUN. I'm out of the LA office, but team up a lot with all offices across the US and mainly like SoCal. So any positions that you're interested in SoCal, I'm your person. And then my favorite animal, or if I could be an animal, just gonna go sea turtle. I absolutely love them. I think they're so cool. And yeah, then I think that's it. So popcorn, Sam.
Hi, everyone. Again, let me know if my audio goes out. Been having some issues recently, but fingers crossed. I'm Sam. I am the PwC recruiter for CSUN. And I would definitely pick lion. I love lions. I love cats, and lions are like a more intense, more majestic cat. And they sleep a lot and love to soak up the sun. And that is also what I love to do. So I'm gonna go with lion. Keilyn, over to you.
Hey everyone, my name's Keilyn. I am your EY recruiter for CSUN, also a CSUN alumni. If I had to choose an animal today, I would choose a bear because they can hibernate, and I am in much need of a vacation and a nap. So if you ask me this question in maybe like a month, it probably will change, but today I'm going with a bear. All right.
That sounds fun. Funny, I will say. So I would like to ask the first question for all of the panelists. Could you please talk about your application process, the requirements and the due dates? We could start with Sarah.
The requirements and due dates for applications. So you have two ways of submitting an application. One, it could be through Handshake, so you can find our positions posted on there, or aside from Handshake, you can find it on the Deloitte Careers website, which very highly recommend. It's going to take you to the same link anyway. So if you're on Handshake and you click the apply link, it's going to take you to the Deloitte Careers link. But so our deadline is, we have two. So the national deadline, so that means if you're interested in any office other than Los Angeles, so that's your New York, your San Francisco, all those things. February 20th. For Los Angeles, actually like SoCal, so Costa Mesa, Los Angeles. We can work with some Bay Area. You just have to kind of like let us know, but that application deadline is going to be the 25th. So it's like specific so that it's after Meet the Firms, right? So those are two. If you're interested in anywhere other than West region, February 20th, 11:59 local time. And then requirements to submit your application is going to be your resume. If there is something on your resume that maybe you need to explain a little bit more, that could be GPA reasoning or anything like that, then I do recommend submitting a cover letter, just a one-page cover letter, so that you know you can bring your resume to life. And then also unofficial transcripts. So it's because we have that GPA minimum requirement of a 3.0. And for tax positions, it's going to have a different GPA requirement. I think it's like 3.2, but it's all going to be listed on the requirements for the job descriptions that are posted.
I'm next, right?
Cool, yes.
All right, so for EY, we have a global application, so you're able to see in real time what positions we're hiring for. So if you're applying for any of our summer 2023 internships, that application deadline is next Friday, February 25th. After that, you won't have access to that until next semester. However, if you're applying to anything that is summer 2022 or a staff role, that application will be up until those positions are closed. However, we are pushing most of our students to apply by that February 25th deadline. However, next month you'll still be able to see those open roles on our application website. Our process is, so no applications through Handshake. All of our jobs are listed on the EY job board, and all that's required is your resume and unofficial transcripts. Your applications will be reviewed after the deadline. So if you submitted or already submitted, just don't anticipate to hear back until after that February 25th deadline. So most likely around March. And then our interview process will consist of just 2 live video interviews. So submit your applications before the 25th regardless, but you still will see those applications if you're applying for full-time or summer 2022. And I think, I don't know who's next, but.
I can jump in. So for PwC, our really similar to what Keilyn said for EY. If you are applying, if you're a junior or a graduating senior, and you're applying to an internship for this summer or full-time roles, those are being filled on a rolling basis. So there's no deadline, but when they're full, they're full. So if your resume is ready, I would go ahead and apply. For our sophomores or freshmen interested in our early recruiting opportunities, the deadline is the 22nd, so at midnight. So it's right after Meet the Firms. So for PwC, again, if your resume is ready, get your applications in. Our application only requires a resume. We do not ask for a cover letter, and we do not ask for a transcript, and there are not places to upload them. So if you get to the PwC application and you already wrote your cover letter and you're like, what do I do? It's not required. So this is me telling you now, you don't need to do one. And then our process is also 2 virtual interviews. Ours are back-to-back on the same day, and they'll take place most likely in the second half of March. And then we'll send out offers. And that's it for PwC. So over to Shelby.
Thanks. So KPMG, we have very similar application process to my other Big Four counterparts. So it's very, very simple. All of our applications are going to be submitted through our KPMG campus site. And basically for the overall process, we do limit applicants to 2 applications only. We really do suggest, however, that you apply to your top position because you will only be able to interview for 1 of the 2 that you apply for. So we do strongly also suggest that students, take an extra look at the qualifications. So just making sure that you are applying to the right position for you. So we do require a resume and an unofficial transcript. A cover letter is optional. However, we really do encourage them because our team loves to read them and it kind of can paint a better picture of who you are other than your resume. So we love cover letters. After you submit your application, you will receive a link for what we have as the Pymetrics Assessment. And that's going to be a gamified assessment that will help us better understand your cognitive, emotional, and social skills. There are no right answers. We just kind of want to see who you are and how you think. And that also needs to be completed within 4 days of receiving the link or by our application deadline. So our application deadline is going to be February 20th for all of our internship and associate positions in 2023. And we have a February 25th we have a February 25th deadline for our Rise Scholars Institute. That's something that I'll get into later, and it's an opportunity for freshmen. Super exciting, but that has a little bit of a later deadline if any of you are interested in that. Our 2022 applications, similarly to the other firms, we do review them on a rolling basis. So if you are interested or qualified for a 2022 position, we really highly suggest and encourage you to apply as soon as possible, just to make sure that, you know, if something is a position that you're interested in stays open for the time being. We don't, you know, want you to miss out on any opportunities. So we have that February 20th deadline, but if you see something for 2022 that stands out to you, I really encourage you to apply as soon as possible for those. We also do have for interview process, we do have just a 1 day, 2 30-minute back-to-back interviews with a manager or a partner. And that's going to be based on where you apply. So if you apply to a New York position, you're going to be interviewed by New York professionals, et cetera. So yeah, that's basically our process in a nutshell.
Thank you so much for helpful information. So for our second question, what opportunities do you have for seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen? And do students have the opportunity to do rotational internships in your firms? We could start with Keilyn, and you can popcorn from there, please.
Yeah, is there any way I can share my screen by any chance?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll give you access to that.
I am just a visual person, so just want to share a slide.
There you go.
All right, I got it now. All right, so this is a visual representation of what you can apply for. So for seniors, meaning you have 0 summers left. And I say that because if you're a senior and you plan on pursuing your master's degree, that changes everything. So we want to know your final graduation date or when you're going to be fully CPA eligible. So if you have 0 summers remaining, you will be applying for any of our full-time opportunities in any of our service line. If you're a junior or you have 1 summer left, so you may be a senior and having 1 more summer left because you're doing the master's program, you would be applying to any of our summer 2022, so this summer service lines. And I also say, so if you're graduating in like December, go by how many summers you have left as well. And then if you're a sophomore, any of our summer 2023, so next summer internships, and then we have 1 summer internship for this summer called our launch internship. It's our diversity focused internship. You will do a rotation between our different service lines. And then at the end, you will determine what service line you're most interested in. It's strong preference for students who are part of diverse student organizations or diverse. And then for freshmen, we don't have any summer internship opportunities, but we do have programs or conferences such as Expedition EY and our Global Perspectives Conference. And all of that is listed on our student job board.
Thank you so much. That was a really helpful slide. Can we go with Samantha next, please?
Absolutely. So I didn't have time to get my slide up, but it's the same thing as Keilyn said in terms of what you're eligible for by class year, which I think it is for all of us. So again, for our juniors and seniors, we have remaining open internships and full-time roles. And those are the ones that will be filled as they are filled. And I think in LA, we have really nothing. So you can look at the website just in case anything does pop up. For our sophomores, which for our purposes means 2 summers left before full-time employment. So you could be a sophomore or a junior in a 5-year program. We have 2 opportunities. That is summer 2023 internship recruiting. So our early internships, as well as our diversity internship program, same as EY. Ours is called START, and that is for underrepresented minorities in the professional services industry, individuals with disabilities, and veterans. And that is a paid internship program this summer that then leads to the same client service internship summer of 2023. And then for our first year students, and this is true freshmen, we have our career preview program, which is for the same diverse population as START. And it's just like a 2-day program that leads into the START program, which then leads into our client service internship. So we do have roles available for all grade levels or all graduation dates. Summer programs, summer, any full-time opportunities that are still available. I will popcorn to Shelby.
Sorry, I had an issue getting unmuted there, but thank you. I also have similar news for you from EY and PwC. We have a similar structure as well. So you have, 0 summers left. We do have those 2022 full-time positions for our seniors, and that's across all of our service lines. For our juniors, or if you have 1 summer left, we do have, again, those internship opportunities 2022, but like I said, those are reviewed on a rolling basis. So if you are interested in any of those, please apply ASAP. For our sophomores, so if you have 2 summers left before you graduate, we have some winter and summer 2023 internship opportunities posted. A majority of those internships and full-time positions will be posted come fall, but we do have some early applicants open if you're interested in those. And we also have what we call our Embark Scholars Program. So our Embark, it's a multi-year internship opportunity that provides exposures to our audit, tax, advisory, and our business process group service lines. And it helps educate scholars on their career interests and how they align to the services that we render at Kpmg. So this opportunity is, like I said, for sophomores, our high-performing sophomores who identify as underrepresented in the professional services industry. And for our freshmen, we have what we call our RISE Leadership Institute. So RISE is a multi-day leadership program, and it's for students that are pursuing careers in accounting, finance, engineering, IT, or any related fields. And this is for high-performing, like I said, freshmen who identify as a person of color, a person with a disability, LGBTQ, veteran, and or first-gen college student. And that, like I said, is the opportunity that has the February 25th deadline, whereas all of the opportunities that I mentioned previous have that February 20th deadline. And then I guess I'll pass it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Shelby. So sorry, Shelby. Shelves. Sorry for the sorry for the nickname. Okay, so for freshmen. And this is all, if you Google Deloitte careers, this is what you're going to Google. So for freshmen, discovery parentheses freshman. And that's an internship. If you're a sophomore, you're going to Google Deloitte careers, discovery sophomore in parentheses, and that's an internship. Also if you're a sophomore, we have summer 2023 internship. So that's going to come with an invitation to Deloitte University this April. So you don't have to apply to different ones. And then if you're a junior, you're going to search summer 2022 internships. For seniors, you would be searching for a full-time, and we are accepting applications for all of these roles.
Thank you, everyone, for all that helpful information. And it's really heartening to see that there's so many opportunities, even at the freshman level. I'll pass it on to Rosie, who's going to be here with our third question.
Yes, to kind of follow up with what you guys mentioned about all of these opportunities, is there from your firms, is there any opportunities for DACA or for those who are undocumented? We could start with Sam.
Hi. Okay, so as it is related to work authorization status, for PwC purposes, you do have to be authorized to work in the United States. That means you do have to be documented in order to work at PwC. We do allow DACA people who fall under DACA to work for PwC as long as you have the EAD card. We will not have a problem with that. But undocumented, unfortunately, no. And then for, I guess, visa sponsorship in general, we do not sponsor visas for almost all of our entry-level jobs. So if you are an international student and you don't have work authorization in the States for PwC, unfortunately, we don't really sponsor that, except if you're in very specialized roles, which I can send the link through for that. But DACA, yes. Undocumented, no. Other visas, mostly no, but some exceptions. I'll pass it to Sarah.
So Deloitte is going to depend on the business. So Deloitte does sponsor, but only for audit and tax. So if you are interested in, if you need visa sponsorship and you're interested in advisory or Deloitte consulting, we do not sponsor for Deloitte advisory or Deloitte consulting. But we do sponsor for and do visa sponsorships for the audit business and the tax business. So that includes internships and full-time.
I'll chime in for
Okay,
EY.
it's like I'm trying to find out, like, is there, who is next on the list?
Yeah, so for EY, we do sponsor across all of our service lines. For our launch internship, like I was saying, the diversity internship, we would consider DACA. However, to work full-time at EY, you will need to provide work authorization. So unfortunately, there's no opportunities for undocumented. But like Sam said, DACA, yes, undocumented, no, and you would just need your EAD card, and we would help you with sponsorship.
So at the moment, Kpmg, similar to some of the other firms, we require applicants to be authorized within the US without the need for any employment-based visa sponsorship now or in the future. However, if you are interested, we do sponsorship for our Korean and Japanese audit and tax practices. However, you do need to be fluent in either Japanese for the Japanese practice or Korean for the Korean practice. But we do also have opportunities with our partner firms in other countries. So if you are authorized to work in a different country and you still are interested in Kpmg, we do have opportunities internationally.
Thank you so much, everybody. And for our next question, a lot of CSUN students juggle multiple responsibilities like work, school, and possibly family obligations and can't attend as many events as they want to. Do you have any advice or tips for those students to successfully recruit? This is for Keilyn and Sarah. We can start with Keilyn.
Sorry, I'm like, taking me forever to come off mute too. So I was once in your shoes too, I think I had 3 jobs when I was at CSUN. My main thing is just now that we're still virtual, but just be aware of like virtual fatigue. Don't spread yourself too thin. Be purposeful for the events that you do attend. Come to those large events like Meet the Firms. Those are the premier events that we see. These are great opportunities, yes, to meet with us, but those large scale events are the ones where we bring professionals instead of just meeting with the recruiters. So if you can, plan out your calendar in advance so that you can make those big events. But the main thing is just don't spread yourself too thin. We understand you're recruiting with a lot of different firms. You don't have to attend every single event that you see, but just make sure you do your research ahead of time and come prepared, and maybe those 1 or 2 premier events that you attend. But yeah, my main thing would just be like, don't spread yourself too thin.
So in addition, I think what I would add is if you cannot attend, I think one of the most important events you can attend are like mock interviews. I think that those are super, super helpful. So let's say you can't attend a mock interview or you can't sign up for one, try to see how you can replicate it on your own time, right? So you have to step up, take that like responsibility to make sure that you're prepped for it. I think that that was one of my most helpful events that I went to when I was recruiting, because you don't have to attend every single event where you can network. Yeah, that would be awesome, but if you can't, then you won't. But that just means that, one, you have to set up on your own time for mock interviews. It makes the world of a difference. And then also making sure that everything else is perfect, right? So your resume, get it reviewed like 5 million times. Meet the firms. Maybe that could be the one event that you can attend. But just making sure that everything on paper looks great, and when you actually go into interviews, that you're prepped for it if you can't attend networking events. So that would be my advice, is do it on your own time if you can attend, but definitely do a mock interview times 100. It's very important.
Thank you so much. And as iPhone said in the chat, our Accounting Association mock interviews are March 5th. I'll now pass it on to Rosie.
Yes, so my question goes for Shelby and Sarah. During the semester's Meet the Firms, we will be limited to only like 10 minutes per slot. What can students do to allocate their time properly? What's one thing they should and should not do?
So my biggest tip in order to utilize your time properly for Meet the Firms is to come prepared. I encourage students to do your research on each firm, what roles are being offered, what service line each firm has, and what piques your interest the most out of those service lines that we each offer. Definitely take some notes and prepare any questions ahead of time that you may have for us. Our websites, they have a lot of really amazing information, but they can feel overwhelming. There's a lot going on there for each of our sites. So definitely take notes, prepare some questions ahead of time. And one thing I always like to make sure of is, when you are speaking with professionals, be sure that you get their email so you can connect afterwards. It's a great way to continue networking. You never know who they might connect you to. And I think that's definitely one of my top tips. One thing I would not do, I guess, would be to ask very general questions that can be found on our sites. Like, what is tax? What is audit? Those things, like I said, they can be answered very simply on our sites. And you want to make sure that you're asking really well thought out questions and utilizing all of the time that you have with the professionals, since it is so limited. So that would be my advice for Meet the Firms. And then I guess, Sarah, if you want to add on.
Yes. So because you do have 10-minute slots, something helpful when you're allocating your time, if you already have a pretty good connection, a pretty good relationship with one of the professionals at one of the firms, you don't need to request 10 minutes with them, right? That can be 10 minutes that you can spend with a professional that you haven't met before, that you haven't spoken to before. And then you can follow up with an email to the professionals that maybe you do know that are going to be participating and say like, hey, I saw that you were, available, but wanted to like make sure that I met as many people from Deloitte as possible, or people from whichever firm as possible. So that shows that like you're still having that relationship with them, but you are using your time wisely and trying to meet even more professionals that you haven't met. I would also like refresh that schedule. So sometimes more professionals are added, and so I would just keep an eye out on time slots that you can keep adding for those 10 minutes. Now, what I recommend doing and not doing when you do have those 10 minutes, make it as conversational as possible, as natural as possible. You don't want to read off your entire resume because they will have, they will be able to see it. So you don't have to like at first bat when you're saying hello, just start going through your resume. It could just be like, hi, how are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. And then like it'll naturally come, those questions. But as long as you are requesting time or scheduling those 10-minute times with professionals that are in the business that you're interested, that would be like the best, the best way to go. And then just anything that could have, a memorable kind of convo, right? So everything else they can find out after. They can go to your resume, they can go see your transcripts, but those 10 minutes, just make it as memorable or conversational, natural as possible. And I think that will be helpful.
Yes, and off of the same branch, kind of, one of the hardest parts about networking is, of course, having these good questions that are great quality, that the students are interested in learning about. And this is to Keilyn and Samantha. What are some resources that can help students to come up with good questions to ask professionals during these events? We can start with Keilyn.
Yeah. So this is going to be a shameless plug, but EY has a center of on campus. So that is a really great resource if you haven't already utilized it. I know Stuart's no longer there, but there's a new director. Her name's Gladys. That is a great start. They host workshops literally every week, can give you career advice. Excellent resource that you all have there. And then another resource, sounds crazy, but Google. Googling questions. I still do it till this day. I have my list of my go-to 5 questions that I want to ask people. But the thing about networking is it doesn't have to always be standard questions about like, tell me about what you do in audit every single day. It could literally just be getting to know someone. And oftentimes your interviews are going to be more at EY, if you're audit or tax, there'll be 2 behavioral interviews. So use that time to ask questions and get to know the professionals. A lot of times students walk away from those saying, hey, that didn't even feel like an interview. We started talking about baseball for 20 minutes and then 10 minutes of it was about, audit or tax, and it just was a natural conversation. So I say don't stress too much about the networking piece and having to have specific questions. Just, it could be casual conversation, start off, how was your day? And you never know where that could lead. But yeah, shameless plug, use the EY Center on campus and yeah, Google. Sam, to you.
Yeah, so I, of course, second everything Keilyn said, but then just to add on a little bit, a lot of people will start off with, why did you choose tax, or why did you choose audit, or why did you choose PwC, or whichever firm? Those questions are fine, but they're pretty generic, and our professionals have probably answered them a million times. So it would be great to ask something that is a little more interesting to you and to our professionals. Maybe ask them about their favorite client, or have they had any difficult clients? What are their normal projects like? What is their day-to-day like? just getting past those very basic questions can help you be a lot more informed from the answers that they give. So yeah, that is one of my tips is yes, you can start with the generic questions, but your conversations are going to be much more interesting and much more fruitful if you're asking more specific questions based on the things that you really care about. So if you're a parent, maybe you ask someone who is also a parent how they manage work-life balance with their family. If you really care about a certain cause, maybe ask how PwC or each firm helps people support the causes that they care about. Things like that, just to help you get the idea of the culture of the firm and what the work is really like a little bit better.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. And I'll pass it on to Rose.
So my question to Shelby and Samantha, the best way to introduce yourself is through an elevated pitch. Could you give an example of what to include in your pitch to make a good first impression?
Yeah, I can do this one really quick to start us off. So don't feel anxious about your elevator pitch. It's basically just a way to say, hi, this is my name, and this is what I'm looking for, just to start the conversation so the person you're talking to can be informed on how they can best help you in the conversation. So something very simple like, hi, I'm Sam. I am a second-year student at CSUN, interested in early internship recruiting for tax. Would love to learn a little more about what that looks like at your firm. That is enough. Like, that's a great way to start. It says, this is who I am. This is the year that I am. So I'll automatically know what you're eligible for. And it says, this is what I think that I want, a tax internship. And that just helps frame the conversation so the professional can say, okay, like, I'm also Sam. I work at PwC. I'm in recruiting, and I can connect you to some tax professionals to help you learn. Or I'm in tax, and let me tell you about my experience. Or it just helps the conversation start to flow naturally. So keep it simple. You don't have to memorize anything, just who you are and what you're looking for. Shelby?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Sam. I personally don't like practicing elevator speeches. I feel like it makes me more nervous. I don't know if that's just me, but just those few details that Sam mentioned, you know yourself better than anyone else. So don't overthink, don't be nervous. You're literally just introducing yourself. Obviously mention, like Sam said, what you're interested in at the firm, what you'd like to learn more about. And you know what, if you want to maybe add in something that, something on your resume that just means the most to you. Maybe you have a leadership position in an organization that's really means a lot to you. Maybe you have something that you're super passionate about that you're involved with. Those can also add in a little bit more just to, I guess, like zhuzh it up a little. But like I said, and like Sam said, don't be nervous. You are just introducing yourself. You know yourself better than anybody else. Don't overthink it.
Thank you so much. And as we know, recruiting requires a lot of networking. Some might consider it more difficult in a virtual setting. You have any tips for students who are shy or introverted? And this is for Shelby and Keilyn.
So I guess I'll continue on. I know this, like I said, it sounds cliche, but like I just said, don't be nervous or don't overthink anything. Recruiting is a two-way street. It's like, just as badly as you really want to make a good impression with us, we really want to make a good impression with you as well. So hopefully just knowing that takes a little bit of the pressure off. You don't need to be nervous. I understand that not everybody is super outgoing. Maybe some people are a little more shy. That's perfectly fine. And I think a great way to reach out or make those initial connections, if you are a shyer person, is to start off with networking via email. So, you know, if you go to any event like today, and maybe you were a little shy to, you know, come off mute and ask a question or something at the end, you can always reach out via email, and that will help break the ice a little bit if you do end up speaking with them one-on-one. So, that's definitely a great way. Or, you know, if you are in a situation like this and you attend an event, you can always utilize the chat feature, you know, if you are a little bit more shy with coming off mute. But yeah, I think that just doing those little things, making that connection over email, that can really help, you know, raise your confidence a little, break that ice, and kind of ease any maybe anxieties or nervousness that you might have. But I guess I'll throw it off to Keilyn.
Yeah, echo everything Shelby says. And I give students the advice, if the professionals put their email in the chat, take it. Or if you meet with them like in a breakout room, take it and create your own type of coffee chat. Reach out to them so you're more in a one-on-one setting as opposed to a group setting. Since I know a lot of students are shy, you know, coming off mute or turning on their cameras, but having that opportunity to take it upon yourself. I even say that with events like Meet the Firms, you have so many students around you. If you're in person, obviously, and virtually, but there's so many students there. Take it upon yourself and create your own Meet the Firms. Get professionals' emails and set up your own coffee chats on your own time if you're able to. And so you don't have to worry about other people there. But I think that's my biggest tip is you can create your own schedule. You don't have to follow and only attend the events to talk to professionals. You can meet with them one-on-one if you're more on the shy side.
I'll also add quickly too, because you just reminded me of being in person. I'm thinking of everything virtually. You can also, if anything does become, which we all hope becomes in person in the future, you can also bring a friend with you. If you have a buddy, that also helps break the ice, you know, make it more of a little bit of a group setting with somebody you're more comfortable with. That's also really great. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, so much. I'll pass it on to Rosie now.
Yes, so my next question is kind of like a follow-up to the previous one, to Sarah and Samantha. Sometimes students get so nervous to talk to professionals, and then it comes off like scripted. Do you have any tips on how to keep like yourself and your story like more authentic?
Yes. So you don't want to come off as scripted, which means you don't want to kind of have like a 30-second greeting of, again, kind of how I mentioned, reading everything off your resume. That's just automatically going to make it not a natural kind of conversation, right? So something that I would recommend doing is you can practice getting off those nerves with maybe a firm that you're not interested in, that you know that you have, you know, you can kind of like get it out. I went to a Meet the Firms when I was in school, and I just walked up to the very first company. I don't even know which company it was. But I knew I wanted to like make a good impression on the Big Four. So I just went to one, I don't even know which one, and kind of just talked it out and got my nerves out. And then I was able to like be a little bit more natural when I talked to the Big Four recruiters, or in the Big Four professionals. So I would just keep it simple. And you don't want to give everything off at once, because that's when it starts sounding scripted. If you do like a small greeting of, hey, how are you? Then everything's going to start to flow in naturally, instead of like automatically off at the bat. It sounds like, you know, very scripted. And then, and then also if you are nervous, don't be afraid to say that. Like, if it's like you can physically tell and, you know, it's really like affecting you, you can say that. You can say, I'm sorry, I'm very excited, and I'm nervous. I'm just excited for this conversation, or anything like that, right? Because then it kind of like eases off the pressure. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, definitely everything that Sarah said. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be shy. It's okay to not know exactly what you're going to say and stumble a little bit. That's why we have Meet the Firms early before interviews. That's why that's why CSUN clubs offer so many different workshops to help you feel more comfortable. That's why we have this Big Four panel, so we can answer some of your questions before Meet the Firms next week. I'll say that, like, you do not, along with the elevator pitch, like, that doesn't need to be scripted. Your conversations, they can't really be scripted because you don't know how the other half of the conversation is going to flow. So go into a new conversation with your elevator pitch, which is like a 2-sentence introduction, and then just let the conversation flow. Maybe somebody says something interesting, so you ask more about that. Maybe the conversation shifts. At Meet the Firms, because it's virtual, you're one-on-one, and the professional that you're talking to one-on-one also want to answer your questions. They want the time to be valuable for you, and they want the conversation to flow. So just know that like, you're talking to another human. Some of the humans that you're talking to in Meet the Firms might be less than 3 years older than you. They might be, if you're a senior, 1 year older than you because they were in your position last year. So just keep that in mind. And again, it's okay to be nervous. Acknowledge it to yourself, take a deep breath, and continue. Meet the Firms is not an interview, it's informational. So just keep that in mind, take a deep breath, and you'll totally be fine, I promise.
Thank you. And what would be the best piece of advice that you can give students heading into the virtual recruiting process? I'll throw this out to Keilyn and Shelby. Keilyn could go first.
It's a hard question. The best advice? Well, I've been struggling to think about an answer because I'm going to say like 3 things, but in that, I would say, 1, stay on top of your calendar so you know what events are happening, so you don't miss them. I said that earlier. Don't RSVP for things that you're not able to attend. We see that as professionals, so don't spread yourself too thin. And then, I mean, it's virtual, so the best advice is, you know, you have that opportunity to connect with professionals outside of the events. So utilize your email and schedule your own coffee chats, like I said before. But that is also honestly a hard question. So I'm going to pass it over to Shelby, and I want to know her thoughts on this.
I definitely agree. This is a bit of a tough one. My advice would be to just attend as many events as possible, but also with what Keilyn said earlier, don't spread yourself too thin at the same time. You know, we all have lives, priorities, and other things going on. So if you can't attend every single one, and I don't encourage you to attend every single one because that's a bit of overload, you know, that's fine. But attend as many as you can that sound like they are of interest to you. So I think that's a really great way, especially I know my firm does, and I'm sure the others host national virtual events. That's another great way for you to learn, you know, more detailed information about either a specific service line. And that's also a great way for you, since it's national virtual, for you to network into different areas rather than just LA, because, you know, a lot of the times you will be speaking with LA professionals. So that's a great way for you to network, learn more information about that specific service line. And another thing I would say, I guess, into the virtual recruiting process, just if you can, for interviews, or if you are having a coffee chat with professionals, definitely make sure that you can limit distractions if possible. Make sure you have a good, tidy, clean background, looking professional, or, if like I right now have my green screen background up, definitely, try your best to limit distractions if possible. That would just kind of be, I guess, more so for interviews or one-on-ones, but yeah, that's kind of my best advice. And I know Keilyn too gave some really great advice, so.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. I would now like to pass the floor on to the students if anyone has a burning question they would like to ask.
Ask us. We want to answer your questions.
Hi, I have a
Bisha.
question. This is towards Sarah in regards to the Deloitte Discovery internship. And I was just curious to ask, throughout the internship, have you seen those who completed it continue on in their career in Deloitte, such as going on to sophomore and junior internships, or do you see people kind of pad away? I'm just curious to see if there's a trend, if you've seen one.
Yeah, of course. So once you start any kind of internship with us, especially a freshman discovery internship, because those are so much more limited than regular business internships. So you are definitely in the pipeline to receive the next year internship, the internship after that, and then a full-time offer after that. So 99% of the time after you complete your internship, you're going to receive an offer for that following year. It's really yours to lose. So let's say you do that freshman internship. It's 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. By the end of it and throughout, we're going to be asking you how you felt about it, if there's a specific business you're interested in, and if you would like to return next summer for another internship. So then after your freshman internship, you'll get an offer for your sophomore year, and then same process during your discovery sophomore internship. We're going to ask you if you've enjoyed it, if you would like to come back for another internship the following summer. Then the following summer, when you're doing that regular business internship, we're going to see how you're doing, how you like it, and then hopefully by the end of it, offer you a full-time employment for the following year. So once you're in, you're in. It's yours to lose. So performance, just keep an open mind and just try to come in with a positive attitude, because we'll teach you everything you need to know aside from that.
Okay, thank you so much, because I've definitely heard some freshman internship types, it's only maybe a couple days to a week, but 8 to 10 weeks, that's very exciting for me to hear. Thank you again for sharing all that.
Of course. Yeah, it's hourly pay. And then you also get to go to Deloitte University. So everything expensed for, flights, food, everything.
Wow. Thank you again.
You're so welcome, Peter.
Hi, I have a question just in general. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So I'm a junior, and I wanted to know. My name is Amir, and I wanted to know, which on Handshake, where am I supposed to apply? Because I know you guys mentioned that. Yeah, I'm just a little bit confused.
So Amir, I'll jump in here. I think for most of us, you don't apply on Handshake. You can see the job listing on Handshake. And I know for us, if you click through that, it'll take you to the PwC website where you will see all of our different job listings. So for us, and I think for everyone else, if you go to our like entry-level careers websites and you're searching for summer 2022 internships, that's where you'll apply. You do not need to apply through Handshake. I think maybe for Deloitte, you can apply through Handshake, but for PwC at least, no Handshake application. Go to pwc.com/careers or click through the Handshake link to the PwC website.
Right. And if I graduate for fall of 2023, which position should I apply for? Just like for the.
Is that you're graduating in December of 2023?
Yes.
Then you would be treated like a current junior because you have one summer left, graduating December 2023. Then you're treated as a sophomore. You have 2 summers left, summer 2022 and summer 2023. So for our purposes, for all 4 of us, you're a sophomore. And so you should be applying for our early summer 2023 internship recruiting, or if you qualify for our diversity programs, you can also apply for those. But again, that's like, it'll be like tax intern summer 2023 on our specific job website, not on Handshake.
Okay, and so I shouldn't apply for any internships for this summer?
No, because your graduation date will automatically exclude you from consideration.
Okay, thank you.
And also just to add on to what Sam said, for all of us, if you look on our job postings, if something stands out to you, you can always look at the qualifications and they will also list your expected grad date for each of the jobs. So that's a great way to figure out, you know, if you're unsure and, you know, it's coming down to the crunch line, coming down the crunch line. You know what I'm saying? You're coming down to the wire and you still want to apply, but you're not sure. All of our qualifications will be listed in the job description. So that's another way for you to tell for sure what position is right for you.
Hello, I have a question. Not sure if it's okay with you guys, but for the diversity application, would that be the same process as a regular application, or because I'm like a first generation student and I'm just curious as to if it's the same link that I should apply to, or is it like a different link?
For EY in particular, it's not, I think for all of us, you're not applying to a general application, you're applying to specific positions. Okay. So for us, it'll say launch internship, that is that diversity one. The other ones will be service line specific. That is not that diversity ones, but I think I can speak for all of us. It's not a general application. You'd have to apply to that specific role.
You said launch, right? Okay.
For EY, and we all have different names, so.
Okay, for sure, yeah. That's just a little bit confusing, like just the name of it, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is it for freshman or sophomore that you're interested in?
Yeah, I would say I think I'm the same as Amir, that I think it's going to be fall 2023. My last semester, it should be. Okay.
So we're also doing like early internships right now recruiting. So you can either search that summer 2023 internship, and then it comes with an invitation to a kind of conference, right? Or you can do the specific program. So I'm just going to say for Deloitte, it's called Discovery. But I would recommend doing right now that summer 2023 internship. You'll see it posted for Deloitte on Handshake.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for all of them, you apply again directly to that job posting. So for PwC, our diversity internship is called Start, and you'll see a separate Start Summer 2022 link, which is separate from, you know, Audit Summer 2023, Tax Summer 2023. And if you are a sophomore, you can apply to both. So pick which one sounds better.
Thank you.
And we could go with Stefania next.
Hi, so my question is, how early will you guys be doing interviews?
I know for Kpmg, and I'm sure it's similar for the other firms, for our 2022 positions, those are on a rolling basis. So since they're on a rolling basis, those could happen earlier than any of our posted deadline applications are for maybe 2023 opportunities. But I would like to say about a week or two, 1 to 2 weeks after you apply, you should hear about if you are selected to interview or not.
Okay, thank you for the information.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, for us, same thing, rolling basis for any summer 2022. And then our all of our freshman and sophomore opportunities, interviews will take place mostly in the second half of March, maybe some into April, but hopefully mostly in the second half of March.
Yeah, for Deloitte, there's going to be like different rounds of interviews. So there's like a pre-recorded one that you can do on your own time. That's going to be like more so early March. And then the final round interviews, which are going to be that live back-to-back 30-minute interviews, are going to be a little bit later March, end of March.
Same for EY. I just wouldn't anticipate having an interview until mid to late March.
Okay, thank you. And Angel Nunez has a question.
I just wanted to ask, does the time frame to get an interview differ depending on the office that you apply to? Like, let's say someone wanted to apply to the Florida office instead. Will that be different?
I know for Kpmg, and I'm sure for my Big Four counterparts, we do try to keep it consistent across all of our offices in the nation. So they should, if you are interested in a Florida position and you are in California, you'll probably be interviewing roughly around the same time as a California candidate would. It's not necessarily strictly the same. There might be a little bit of difference, maybe a week or two, but they do, and we do, I know, try to keep it consistent across the nation, but there's no strict guideline for that, but it should be in the same time frame.
Yeah, ours too, and I think everyone is probably similar. Our recruiting process happens nationwide. So if you're interested in applying to any other locations, you absolutely can. Our interviews happen on slightly different days, even for our LA office. You might be on a different day from someone else interviewing for the same role or a different role in the LA office. But it will still be most likely middle to late March, possibly early April.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And then to follow up with another office, if someone's interested in a different office, do you think it's best to reach out to the recruiters and let them know, oh, I'm interested in a Florida office, or they just best to just go through and apply and go from there?
At EY, it's not necessary. You're able to list your first, second, and third preference on your job application. So not necessary to let us know, but we'll forward it to the right team.
Yeah, for office preferences, when you're submitting your application, there's going to give you, there's going to be an option to put like your weighted percentage of how much you want like one office over the other. So I recommend not putting 50-50, like 50% LA, 50% Costa Mesa, or whatever it may be. Definitely like lean more towards the other, because then you're just going to kind of like throw it up and put it in someone else's hands. But if that first office, your first location preference is like not doing any more applications or interviewers or whatever that may be, they are going to go to your second office location. So that is going to be an option. But if you do have like a specific office that you're interested in, that you know for sure, and you have like reasons why, you can let me know and I can try to connect with that recruiter.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So hi, I have a question. So I remember it was mentioned that internships are sort of like a one-way deal where you get an internship and it's highly likely that they'll offer you a continuing position in the firm. If a student was to find that the firm wasn't the right fit for them, how would they let them down gently? And I guess I'll shoot this out to everyone, and just popcorn from there. We could start with Sarah.
Okay, yeah. So if you do an internship with the firm and then you don't enjoy it and you don't want to receive a full-time offer, right? That's the question. Okay, cool. So all throughout your internship, you'll be having hopefully check-ins, and they're going to be, they as in either like the recruiter or your team, will be asking you like how you're doing, and they'll try to see if it's a problem that's like fixable, right? But if not, then you need to like communicate that, right? So do not ghost anyone. That is like the worst thing you can do. Say it like 5 times. Do not ghost anyone. You can say, hey, I'm actually not going to be, you know, interested in a full-time offer, or for the next position, or coming back, I have other interests. And if anything, I'd love to still keep in touch, and, you know, just like don't burn that bridge. And, you know, that's acceptable. Like, we know that it's your career and you're going to take it where you want to take it. But you do burn bridges when you ignore someone or just don't respond. That's worse. So just keep it like friendly, keep it professional, and just be like vocal about it. But you can do that, like give it like your internship to try to see if there's something that you can, you know, work on. And then towards the end of your internship, definitely say like, I don't want to return for a full time. But yeah, but just like making sure that you say that so they're not like caught off guard or anything.
It's best to be very open with your teams, like during an internship, if you're unhappy or if you're not interested, because if we know what your concern is, or maybe you realize that tax isn't right for you and can, like, maybe audit would be, if you're open with your team that you work with, then we are more likely to be able to help you. If you just say, or if you are open and you say, no, this just isn't a fit for me at all, it just helps. So the best thing you can do is keep those lines of communication open as you are, you know, up for a full-time offer and as you are making a decision about a full-time offer, because if we know what your concerns are, like, we want, all of us, we want to retain top talent at our firms. We want you to get a job and we want you to work at our company and stay and succeed. So if you're not happy and we don't know it and your teams don't know it, no one can help you. But if you say, this is where I'm struggling, this is where, like, this is the area that I'm not really finding to be interesting, then maybe we could say, okay, let's put you on a different client and see if that helps. Okay, let's, like, maybe you need to network with some people in this group instead. That's more in line with your interest. But yeah, as Sarah said, ghosting is not helpful for anyone because you'll feel a little bit guilty and we won't understand what happened. So don't recommend doing that.
And just to add on to that, we at EY, we call them boomerangs. So we say don't ghost because you want to keep that opportunity open, and maybe, 4 years down the line, you decide, hey, I want to go back and explore a career at EY. We are open to that. So just to echo everything they said and not repeat everything, just don't ghost. That's the main thing. But we are recruiters. We get rejected by candidates all the time. So you're not going to hurt our feelings if you don't want to stay with us.
Yeah, just to add on to what Keilyn said, and Sam and Sarah, we're not going to take it personally. Obviously we really want you to love the experience in our firm, and we would love for you to stay, but if it's not a fit for you, it's not a fit for you. We will do what we can. If there is a fixable issue, we're going to ask for feedback, but at the end of the day, if it really just isn't a fit for you, we're not going to take it personally. We'd rather you be open, and like everyone else said, you don't want to burn that bridge, because there's plenty of times where boomerang situations happen and you never know, where your future will lead you. So I definitely echo everything everybody else said.
Thank you so much, everybody. That was very helpful, very insightful. Always viewed firms as kind of like a person, and I always felt like if you said no, you'd hurt their feelings. Yeah.
I mean, it does hurt our feelings,
Rosie.
but we're not going to take it personal. It does hurt our feelings, just a little bit.
That's why you have to be gentle. I'll pass it on to Rosie. And if any student has any more questions, just feel free to jump in.
Actually, I have a question of my own. For all of the firms, so this is not the internship though, but I guess the internship before that for, I think, sophomores, like the START internship, for example, from PwC. I know there's a summer one, but is there like a winter for it?
I don't think that we offer START in the winter. Now I'm like, wait a minute, do we? No, in my understanding, we do have winter internships available. There are client service internships, but START is only in the summer.
So for any discovery internship, so discovery sophomore, discovery freshman, that's going to be in the summer. But for all other internships, so if you're a sophomore right now, and you're applying to summer 2023 internship, that comes with an invitation to a conference this summer. And if and for full-time, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But for those, you'll have an option of summer or winter. So on our job positions, it's going to say summer 2023, comma, winter 2024. And that just means if an internship works out for you better in January, then you can select that. Or if it works out better in the summer, so like June, July, then you can select that. But for regular business internships, you have that option of summer or January. And for full-time, also summer and January. But for discovery, it's just the summer.
And I do want to say the winter internships are full-time. So there are our students like in Texas and other states where they have their programs are designed to where the summertime, wintertime, they're not in classes. So just be prepared. Those winter internships are still 40 hours a week, which a lot of CSUN students don't really qualify for. But I would EY, same goes. Those diversity internships like launch, sophomore internships are not in the winter, but our service line ones, we do have winter opportunities.
I have a question. My question would be, I have spoken to a few professionals, and they are working from home at the moment. Would the internship positions be virtually, or would they be held in the office?
know for KPMG, and I'm sure it's similar for the other big four, we do have all intentions of having our in-person internships for the summer return. That really just all depends upon, COVID. Unfortunately, it's unpredictable and we want to keep everyone safe. We are starting to return to office, which is super exciting. We're hoping to have some in-person events in the very near future. But as of right now, we do plan to have our summer and future internships and I guess full-time positions start in person. However, that could be subject to change just based on the unpredictability of, the climate we're in right now.
At EY, our summer internship is in person. It will not be in person every day. Think of it more as a hybrid, just as we are in the working world now, hybrid. But do apply to the city that you intend on living in a commutable distance to. Your virtual, like the trainings, those will all be virtual, but I think and this is my personal opinion, as an intern, you will have the greatest impact by being in person and being able to hear those conversations that you normally won't be able to hear from if you were home in your computer. So do plan to be, I would say, at least in the office twice a week, but all of our offices are open. So I would anticipate by summer, more people will be in the office.
Yeah, so for our internship, it is going to be in person, but very hybrid. It's going to depend on what your team is doing. But in terms of socials and dinners and stuff, it's all going to be in person. You're going to receive those invitations. Is it required to go to dinners or socials or anything like that? No, of course not. But it does make the experience a little bit better. So I would think hybrid kind of approach to it. And then kind of hopefully we'll see where it goes and we can be a little bit more in person, for sure. But hopefully in person.
Ours is also expected to be a hybrid with a few days in person and a few days virtual each week, depending on the team that you work with, and which days they are in person and which days they are virtual, because almost all of our people are working 1 to 3 days a week in person right now. Some teams fewer days, but it also depends on each intern's comfort level. So we're very aware that people have different comfort levels, and if you do not want to be in person, at this point, no one will require you to do so. Though hopefully, I think most interns do want to be in person so they can get to know their teams better and can do some of those social events. So our plan currently is to have a hybrid approach, like Keilyn was saying, for EY originally as well too.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that.
Okay, so I have a question for all of the panelists. A good way to make a connection with a professional is to invite them to a coffee chat. How do you go about doing that in a virtual setting? And are there any do's and don'ts? Oh, we could start with Keilyn.
Yeah. I know I've mentioned coffee chats a lot in this call, but inviting professionals to coffee chats is really a great way to start building your professional network. My suggestion is setting them up shortly after you interact with someone and not waiting until 3 months after an event to contact them, so you're fresh on their mind. That is a good thing to do. And then while you're doing them, just make sure you're testing out your tech. You're in a quiet area, making sure your background is presentable. But the best way is either on LinkedIn or through email connections, or if there was a professional here, like if we had professionals at Meet the Firms, just grabbing their email and reaching out. But I had an in-person meet the firm last week at a different school, and most of my professionals have reached out today and said a lot of the students that they met have reached out to set up one-on-one time. So doing it right after would be my best advice.
Another thing is, don't ask them for a huge amount of time. Say, hey, it was great to meet you at this, or hey, so-and-so recommended I reach out to you, was wondering if you had 15 minutes or even 10 minutes to connect sometime this week. Here are some times that I am free. Let me know if any of these work for you and like how you prefer to connect. The easier you can make it for our professionals, the better. So if they're looking at it and they're like, okay, great, they can meet on Wednesday between 2 and 3. I have a break then. I'll say, how's Wednesday at 2 p.m.? Easy. If it's like a ton of back and forth to organize, it becomes more and more of a burden. So the easier that you can make it to the people that you want to chat with, the better.
Thank you so much for that information, everyone. So with everything slowly returning to in-person events, I know a lot of people don't know what a Meet the Firms looks like in person. Could you perhaps give some insight onto what that looks like? We could start with Sam.
Sure. So experience at virtual Meet the Firms is very different from what in-person Meet the Firms would be like. And even now I'm like, oh wow, it really has been a while for all of us. In-person Meet the Firms is everyone in one place, booths, tables for each employer, professionals, and it is much less organized than virtual Meet the Firms, because you go in and obviously you should have a game plan for who you want to talk to, but there aren't 10-minute slots. It's not like speed dating the way virtual is. You go in, you might get distracted by the food or your friends, but the biggest thing is a game plan for who you want to talk to and look at the map of where all the firms are. But then the second thing is it's important to remember at in-person Meet the Firms, conversations are happening in groups. Rarely are you one-on-one with a professional unless there's kind of a lull in the numbers at that particular employer's table. So a lot of times I've seen one professional talking to 2 to 5 students at one time. So there's a little more finesse involved there in how to do the transitions, when to get your question in, when to enter the conversation and leave the conversation. So it's kind of nice that you don't have to worry so much about that when you have your 10-minute slots already filled up. But for both in-person and virtual, it is really important to take a few minutes to yourself if you need a break. So that is advice I always give. Schedule a couple slots in virtually, or when we do go back in person, take a quick minute to go to the bathroom, go grab a drink of water, to reset yourself a little bit so you can be energized going into your next conversation. But the biggest thing is really just the crowds. That's the big difference.
I would also add another good thing to do when you do take those breaks and step away is to write down right after you have a conversation with someone. When I was a student and I did my Meet the Firms, I brought a little notepad with me. So I would kind of step away, maybe into the hallway or something. After I spoke to a professional, I'd write down who they were, what firm they were with, what we spoke about. And that's a great way, when you do send a follow-up email and networking, to be like, thank you so much for speaking to me about this, this, and this. So it's a little more personal. It'll help you stand out a little bit more. So aside from definitely taking a break, because you'll be talking for hours and that's exhausting. Definitely make sure you're taking notes as well. no matter what you do, I'm a huge note taker. So that's definitely another good tip for meet the firms in person, and even virtually, I would suggest it as well.
Thank you for the
really good
thank you for the advice. Yeah. Anyone else would like to jump in or no? All right, and this is the last call. Does any students have any final questions? Okay, and just a reminder, but first I'd like to thank all of our presenters, Sarah, Keilyn, Shelby, and Sam, for joining us today and giving us so much helpful information about their firms. And yes, what Keilyn did, just posted her email in the chat. Could I ask all the professionals to do that as well? Or have you already? I don't know. So before we depart, the announcements once again is that we do have our networking workshop on Saturday. So go ahead and sign up for that if you want to practice for Meet the Firms, meet some professionals as well. And also we are still doing we have our mid-tier panel on Thursday, so please join us for that. And we are still doing table sitting in front of Bookstein Hall. I will pass it on to Isaac, who I believe must take a screenshot, I think.
Right.
Unless the recording suffices.
Right. So if everyone could please turn on their camera, I'll take a quick screenshot for the event.